Okay, ladies and gentlemen, it is now 3:30 PM, and I'd like to call to order the meeting of the Personnel and Compensation Committee for August 2024. A copy of the agenda for this meeting may be found on the county website under the tab for the legislature. I'm going to ask you to please silence your phones and electronic devices, and at this time, please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. All right, Kelly, roll call, please.
Ben.
Here.
Jones.
Here.
Emma.
Present.
Here.
Val.
Here.
Dave.
Here.
Digging. Here. And Seth.
Here.
Eight present.
Okay, everybody's here. Great. Okay, first on our agenda, we have our county executive, Steve Newhouse. I saw Mr. Poor, Harry Poor is here. Harry, if you want to come up, please. We have a request for the confirmation of Renee J. Arnold O'Regan as Commissioner of the Department of General Services. The appointment will begin July 29th, 2024. Obviously, already has. Legislative request number 176. So I have a motion and a second. Legislator Fagione, seconded by Legislator Lujan. Okay, you all had the opportunity, I'm sure, to look at the resume, so I'll turn the floor over now to Mr. Poor.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for this audience today. County Executive has appointed Renee to the position of General Services Commissioner. We did a rather extensive interview process, and Renee came out shining above all the other candidates. So I let her here today for your confirmation, and so answer any questions you may have.
Okay, great. Does anyone have any questions for our new commissioner?
I'm glad that Christine Young is very upset with us.
I know. Yeah, I see that. Yeah, good. Okay, seeing none, all in favor? Anyone opposed? Renee, welcome. Good
Thank
luck.
you. Thank you
Glad
very
to
much.
have you. Yeah.
I appreciate
Thank
it.
you. Okay. Okay, next up, Roman numeral 2, we have our Sheriff Paul Arteta represented. We've got representatives here. Good afternoon, folks. How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good, thanks. We have 2 items here. Letter A, there's a request to create 1 confidential secretary to the sheriff, grade 12. Upon incumbent obtaining permanent status in this position, the position of secretary and administrative assistant 1 will be abolished. Legislative request number 182. Do I have a motion and a second?
Second.
Okay, Legislator Menuda, seconded by Legislator Lujan. Folks, the floor is yours. Go ahead.
We had a couple of employees, some of our civilian staff request desk audits from HR, and the sheriff agreed to that. We have a very large department that has approximately 500 sworn members. It does not include all of our civilian staff. It also does not include all the contractors that work within our complex. Our office, the duties of our office have expanded greatly over the years and have diversified greatly. On the police side of the house, we have approximately 200 sworn members, and they are serviced by only 4 civilian staff. So just as the duties of our sworn members have expanded, so have the duties and responsibilities of these civilian staff. And we want to make sure that they're paid fairly for the work that they do. And their duties and responsibilities have expanded way beyond what was originally written in their job descriptions when they were created. These positions were created many years ago by HR. HR came and did the desk audit, and they came back a few months later with their findings and made recommendations for what grades that they felt were appropriate for these employees.
That was included. You had a chance to read that. Any questions?
I'm going to kind of combine A and B because A is asking to create a new confidential secretary to the sheriff, but B is showing that you're changing a description, but still keeping a confidential secretary to the sheriff open. So I know it's kind of confusing that we're talking about the same position and how they go hand in hand, because that would be if we create this new one, according to these 2, it would show that we have 2 confidential secretaries to the sheriff.
So I know in A, the administrative assistant position is going to be abolished, and it's going to roll into the confidential secretary position. So that other position is going to be abolished. And then I think that with B, they're going to create the executive assistant position. And then that's probably going to be a question probably also for HR, is to explain why the one has to stay open.
Right, so both,
positions will be newly created, and because the incumbents have to gain competitive status in the new position, their backfill will remain vacant. Once the incumbent obtains competitive status in the executive assistant, then that confidential secretary position will remain vacant but unfunded.
Is there a reason we're not abolishing it since we're making a new confidential? I mean, because then you're technically gonna have two positions for the same position, but
Right,
just
actually,
leaving one off.
right, just for possible future needs, it's not completely abolished. If, the incumbent of the executive assistant ends up leaving the position, the sheriff's office would then have the choice to fill the confidential secretary or the executive assistant at that time.
So
But
the
no,
sheriff could have two confidential secretaries?
He right now has 3. Yeah, so it's the classification confidential secretary to the sheriff, really meaning the office of the sheriff. Their duties are intertwined and exchanged, and they're all the same grade position.
Okay.
Legislator O'Donnell.
Thank you. So you say there's 4 civilians and then 3 of them are confidential? Secretary, what's the other one?
No, all 4 of them would be confidential secretaries. With the creation of With the creation of the new one.
Well, so when you said 4 earlier, that meant this being approved or
No, with
am I
them,
missing
no,
something?
so the one that was these 2 plus 2 others, so there's only 4, but we want to upgrade these
Okay,
2.
so the 4, all 4 are confidential secretaries?
No, if these are approved, 3 will be confidential secretaries and 1 will be an executive assistant.
So you don't have an executive assistant now?
No,
You have 4 though now?
4 civilian staff, support
Right.
staff.
What's their titles?
Right now, one of them is the administrative assistant 1, and the other 3 are confidential secretaries.
Thanks. All right, so I'm gonna vote yes on A, and then I'm gonna make a motion to abolish the position when we get to B.
Vacant unfunded.
Done that with other departments, so you can tell the sheriff that.
Okay.
Okay. Anything else on letter A? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? So carried. Okay, letter B, request to create executive assistant grade 14 upon incumbent obtaining permanent status in this position. The position of confidential secretary to the sheriff will remain vacant. Legislative request number 183. Do I have a motion and a second?
I'll make that motion.
Mr. Pagione, Legislator Lewin. Okay,
Well,
go ahead.
so as we explained before, the reason why we're asking for the upgrades, this position too, this position reports directly to the undersheriff and straddles both sides of the house. So they service all 500 employees of the department and have some of the most involved duties of all of our civilian staff. So we felt that this person has such a responsibility that they should be upgraded to the 14.
Okay, any questions? Legislator Pagione?
Thank you, Chairman. I just have one question. On the legislative request form, the last sentence, and I think this might lead into some follow-up questions. The last sentence says a stipulation would be placed on the newly created position of executive assistant, stating that as long as the position is filled, that position number 23655 must remain vacant. Can we just get an explanation as to the logic behind that?
I think it has to do with if that one stays filled, the other one, they have to pass probably a probationary period or something like that in order for them to go back.
No, it would allow the sheriff's office to decide which position should be filled. Both would
Oh.
not be filled.
If one was gonna say like this individual retired, we want to bring somebody in and bring them in at the lower pay grade. So if we moved somebody into the higher pay grade, the other one would remain unfunded. But if then this individual retired and we want to bring in a new employee but start them off in a lower graded position, we would have the option to do that there.
Okay, that's very logical to me. Thank you for.
So
the-
it'd be, it's, the other one vacant would be unfunded. You'd have to come
Yes.
back for the
We'd have to come
funding.
request the
correct?
funding. if
And
we
we
want
would
to fill
place a
it.
stipulation on it, so it would not be able to be filled at the same time.
Okay, so that stipulation will be part of this?
Yeah.
Okay. Anyone else? Legislator O'Donnell?
I'll make a motion to amend it with the same language as A, where the position will be abolished.
We have to second that to discuss it? Okay.
Yes.
Can I second that?
Second,
'Cause I'd
second,
like to-
Cal, okay. So Jim, just restate that again, please, to amend it to read as in letter A, where it'll be abolished,
It
not
will
remain,
not-
not remain
Instead of
there.
saying
unfunded.
will remain vacant, it will say will be abolished.
Okay,
That's all.
so,
So you don't have to worry about coming back and explaining, you'll put them at a lower value, and then you still have to leave the other one funded.
Mhm.
So this is a big thing in our budget with unfunded positions, especially I'm surprised this guy didn't jump up, because he talks about it all the time. It really doesn't make any difference. You gotta come back to us.
Yes.
anyway. All right.
That was gonna be my question. You have to come back one way or another,
all right.
correct?
One
Yeah.
way or the other, yeah.
Yeah, so,
So the point I was making, Mr. Buchanan, is that then we're consistent. That's all. And we've been abolishing them the last couple of years. We don't want human resources coming and saying, Boston to the sheriff's department. Especially with my background, I gotta be careful with that.
Okay, Michael, go ahead.
Just to, Jimmy's comment about mine being unfunded, it's about the funded but not filled, just to put it correctly in there.
There you go.
Yeah.
Okay. HR, we can do that, right? It's really semantics here. I mean, if we're gonna abolish it, if they want it, they've gotta come back anyway. If it's unfunded, they have to come back for the funding, one way or the other. But, okay, so we have a motion and a second on the amendment. Council, right, we're gonna vote on that,
Just to amend it.
to
and then
amend
you'll-
it to reflect the same as in letter A to abolish that.
Yes, and then you'll do a vote afterwards
After
for
that,
as
okay.
amended.
So first, we're voting on the amendment made by legislator O'Donnell. Okay, all in favor of the amendment? Aye. Anyone opposed?
No.
One opposed. Okay. And we'll vote on the amended letter
Just
B.
Just a point.
Yes.
If we pass it, then HR has to figure out and do it. It's not like they have an option. You just asked if it's okay, if, we do this, if we do it, it's whether it's okay, and then they change, make the
Okay.
changes.
Yeah. Okay,
That's all.
thank you. Okay, vote, then on the amendment on letter B, all in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? So carried. HR, we're good?
Yeah.
Yep, all right, thank
Thank you
you.
guys. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, folks.
Good.
No,
Thank you.
yes.
Was it?
You were no, okay.
On both of them? No, the amendment.
Just the pass out.
Yeah.
Just threw me off. If it's
No for the amendment.
If it's
but
no,
yes.
no for no. Okay, yeah.
No for the amendment, but I was, but
Okay.
in the final motion, I accept it.
Thank you. Okay.
All right, Roman numeral 3, we have our Commissioner, Chief Information Officer, Mr. Glenn Markey is here. And there's 2 items here. Letter I, request to create 1 Assistant Director of Cybersecurity, grade 23. Legislative request number 173. Can I have a motion and a second?
Second.
Kathy and Joe. Very good. Okay, Mr. Markey, go ahead.
Okay, for the Assistant Director of Cyber, a very important position. We did extend an offer for the Director of Cybersecurity, just so you know, it's in process. It's going to take a long time to get to the security background. This position will be his right-hand person, a very important position to help support and maintain the cybersecurity program, a strategic cyber program. As you know, June 10th, City of Newburgh suffered a major cybersecurity attack, and then July 10th, Goshen Central School District suffered a major cybersecurity attack. So we want to make sure that the county is covered and we have all the right resources. So that's the reason for that position.
Okay, any questions? Mr. Paduk, go ahead.
Thank you. You said you're coming back though with the director's position?
No, that position's already been approved, and we made an offer to a person for the Director of Cybersecurity. That's in process. So they're going through the hiring process.
Right, did it come, did we see anything with that?
It's still in the early phases of that process, so I don't know what you would see with that.
I was just trying
They
to.
filled, they're in the middle, they started, but we made a verbal offer, they filled out the application, the application's good. So whatever the steps are through HR is what we're doing.
So I'm just wondering why you need an assistant director there and a director.
Well, because we already made the offer, and we're trying to lean forward and make sure we build the team.
Anyone else? Joe, go ahead.
The types of attacks that the others suffered, were they like major things that we need to be concerned about that might be coming here?
There were two, City of Newburgh was a ransomware attack. It was a major attack, and it was a different kind of ransomware attack for the Goshen Central School District. That one was focused on higher education and educational institutions. It's a certain, what's called FOG attack, FOG, that targets educational organizations. So the one that would concern us would be the one that was against the City of Newburgh.
Thanks for clarifying.
Yes, sir.
Let's let it back, go ahead.
Yeah. Can you tell when someone attacks you, like someone tries a fog attack or someone tries an attack, like you said, City of Newburgh happened to them? Can you tell if somebody was trying to attack us in the same way and our system worked where theirs didn't?
That's a good question. We have the tools in place to identify us from those kinds of attacks that will give us alerts. We have 24/7 monitoring with the New York State Joint Operations Center. So there's somebody sitting at that center in Brooklyn that's looking at all of our accounts in Orange County. And if there's something suspicious, they'll send us an alert, email, phone call, text message, so we can take immediate action. And then there are also built-in scripts that we have that in case if it's happening quickly, it can take action immediately before a person intervenes. So we do have protocols in place to protect us. But there's, as you know, with the increased cyber attacks you see all over the nation and the world, we need further strategic cyber program initiatives and tools to improve our security.
Okay. Do we get notices of attacks regularly, like once a week or more?
I'm gonna,
There's not really notices, about it. I mean, if there were something, we would get a notice, but we haven't got anything, recently.
Yeah, I guess that's good.
Good to know. Anyone else? Let's say O'Donnell.
On the same line, so we've been here about 6 months.
7.
So,
Close.
not bad.
Okay.
How many alerts have we got?
Well, we log.
We haven't got any alerts in the time that he's been here.
So everything's been quiet. And there's alert like this top level,
It's not gotten wide.
Yeah, we haven't got any.
that would be
Oh, yeah,
the top level.
we would know. Right,
Yeah.
What's this
Absolutely.
next level below that?
Below what?
Alert.
Oh, I'm sorry. There's all sorts of alerts. You got critical, severe, medium.
So we got
Yes.
none of any of them.
No.
Thank you.
Yes.
I was gonna save this question until after, didn't we run into a problem in July when everything went down with the airlines and everything else? Weren't we affected by that?
Okay, yeah, I'm gonna do a report on that
Okay.
in the next meeting. Ways and Means Committee will give our a synopsis of what happened, what the problem was, what we did to recover, time frame, all that. So we'll answer all your questions with that.
Okay, I know that wasn't an attack, that was just somebody did
Right,
something.
that was a faulty software that caused
Okay,
a
thank you.
global outage that impacted us.
Yes.
All right,
Yeah.
any further questions on the first one? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? So carried, great. 2, request to create one senior systems analyst, grade 15, legislative request number 173. A motion and a second, please.
Second.
Joe and Kathy. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, this position, senior systems analyst, grade 15. As you know, we rolled out an IT strategic plan for the next 3 years. There are over 200 requests that the 36 department heads requested. So we need a senior person to go through all these major initiatives and make sure these are all started and implemented during the timeframes that the department heads asked for over the next 3 years. So we need, this person is going to have some, looking to have some solid project management skills, because the majority of the requests that the department heads made were projects. New software, new applications, new features, things like that.
Questions?
Yes,
Mike,
sir.
go ahead.
How many senior system members do you have now?
We don't have any, do we?
We just had one.
One?
And then is she, in reverse,
That's
she's
the one.
working?
Okay, yeah, that's, okay, so we have one, she's the one that's retiring.
Oh, that's
Short
retired.
Right.
Good.
Thank you, Chairman. Commissioner, just a question, not so much about this, but, you're building out a whole new department here. And you've come to us and we've obviously, we have two positions here. Can you give us a broad picture of the market out there now? I mean, we talk about this CrowdStrike thing and other cyber attacks and stuff like that. How have you been able to build out the team, and have you gotten tons of interviews, tons of resumes? Is the market tight? Is it flush with people? Give us a little a view of this.
Yeah, of course. We've done, Lane Hunt and I, sitting here with us, we've done over 60 interviews. The trend happens, a lot of the larger companies are downsizing, right-sizing. So the good news for us is we get to interview a lot of people from great companies. IBM, a lot of candidates. Kyndryl, which is the IT arm for IBM, it's a wholly owned subsidiary from IBM. Verizon, AWS. So we've had the opportunity to interview with some big companies because of the downsizing of other companies. So it's actually helping us find candidates.
And so these positions here today, you're fairly confident that you'll get some great interviews and some great resumes.
Yes, I think so.
Outstanding.
Yeah.
Thank you, Commissioner. Thank you, Chairman.
And just to dovetail on that, you're obviously building a team, so what's your org chart looking like? How many more members of your team would you anticipate through the end of the year that you might need?
We'll see that at budget time.
I think we're, yeah, you'll see that during the budget, what we are requesting for 2025. So you'll see the additional positions that we feel that we need.
Thank you.
I just want to follow up on Mike, but you said you have one senior analyst now that's retired.
Right.
So you're asking, you'll have two then? You've asked for another one?
Yes, because one's going to be focused heavily on the IT, implementing the IT strategic.
So will you
plan.
be interviewing for two positions as senior systems analyst? I don't know
When she retires, yes, we would.
Okay, so you'll have two.
Check.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? So carried. Thank you, Mr. Mark. You have a great
Thank you.
afternoon. Okay, and last up, row number 4, we have our historian, Joanna Four, with a request to reclassify senior clerk grade 6 to secretary and administrative assistant 1, grade 8, legislative request number 178.
I'll make that motion.
Lujan and Fagion. Okay, the floor is yours. Go ahead.
I do have a full presentation for E&E a little later, so if any of you aren't on that committee and want to stick around, you can hear a lot more detail about this and other things going on in the office. But this is just a desk audit that was completed on my the secretary Nicole Nazaro. As you know, it's just Nicole and myself, 2 full-timers that run the office. So between the 2 of us, we have to handle all the duties of the office, which means that both of us do things that are out of our job descriptions pretty regularly. So in order to address that, we conducted a desk audit. HR came back with a recommendation that Nicole's position be moved from a grade 9 to a grade 8. And, sorry, 6 to 8, sorry. And she is on many civil service lists, and she's a high scorer on all the lists, so it's no problem to have this position changed to the grade, and then she will then take that position very easily because she'll be selected from the list.
And I will verify that if anyone has not been over to the historian's office, you will see Nicole in action. So feel like a one-person operation. So I know this had come up a while ago, so it's been in the works for a while.
This has, yeah.
Yeah.
This has been in the works, and HR approved it just
Right.
last month.
And Nicole's been with us for quite a while, so.
She's been with my office for 6 years,
Yeah.
and she's been with the county for more than 10.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think it's fair and just, absolutely. Legislator Lujan, go ahead.
I'm in agreement with the chairman. Definitely an important move. I do want to, I'm kind of wondering if we will still be able to address, however, I'm guessing you probably still need more support considering the fact that you're doing a lot more and there's a lot more things going on. So
Yeah, so I do have a presentation for E&E and I do have copies of that presentation for anyone that has to leave. They can take a copy, a physical copy. But we have right now a consultant, Greater Hudson Heritage Network, and they're conducting a study on our office and what our staffing levels should be. So they're particularly looking at collections care because, and this is just summarizing what I'll talk about later, but they're looking at 5 sites. So the 1841 Courthouse, Hillhold Museum, Brick House Museum, the D&H Canal Museum, and the County Clerk. And just looking at the historical collections that are in those 5 locations, making recommendations based on that as far as what kind of support we should have for collections and archive care. Obviously, we're entering the era of digitization, so we have to be thinking about, how to get these records properly stored. But there's also the physical items themselves that need to be in better conditions because a lot of them are in dirty basements, damp basements throughout the county. A lot of climate control issues, things like that, that really need specialization. So we will, once that report is in by the end of this year, we'll have more recommendations that we'll bring back.
I think that was last year, we appropriated 50,000 for that study.
Yeah, so the study's been going on, and just last week, that group was over at the clerk's office touring the facilities. There's quite a lot when you start to look at, we're focusing on those 5 collections because those are the most extensive collections. But when you really look at it, we have, real property, the sheriff's office, planning, a lot of places that have maps and documents that do need some care. So they'll look closely at those 5, and then they'll also give a little bit of information about the other concerns that we have around the county. And it's not just paper items; paintings, maps. We have a lot of objects that are collected throughout the county, and then we have a lot of collection items that have like very murky provenance. So we have some items that we own, but we don't know if we really own them or not. They were left with us at some point, or we have other items that we know we own, but they've been loaned out to other institutions. So having, we're definitely going to need staff to look at that, or else we're going to end up losing these items without them being tracked properly. So there's a lot of concerns like that. And then there's also concerns, which again, I'll talk about in the presentation, about local collections that are shutting down or facilities that can no longer hold items, and they often come to us and ask what we can do about it. So we need to think about, whether we want to have an expansion plan or whether we want to say no to everything and let these things get put in dumpsters in some cases. So it's a question, we have to really have a professional look at what is our role in collecting and, what can we handle as far as the county agency.
Kind of anxious to see that report, I'm sure. It'll be
Yeah,
quite revealing. Yeah.
the report's getting there, it's almost ready, and it's gonna be very interesting.
Just, you were involved when you look at all the parks. I mean, did they talk to you and say, well, we have this and this and this here?
Yes.
This is what we need. Did the consultants agree with you?
So when the consultant was looking at those sites, they did consult with me to see what was in our collection, because that's an issue with records as well. If they want to look at the history of the Brick House Museum as an example, they have to check with me and see what paper I have. They have to look at real property. They have to look at the Parks Department. They have to look at all these different places to try to patch together the history of these sites because it's scattered. And that's a concern we have with Dutchess Quarry as well. When we're trying to understand Dutchess Quarry's history, we're having to look in multiple departments, and it's a difficult task that there's nobody assigned to at this point. Understanding where things are within the county and whether we have duplicates of things or whether we have gaps that need to be filled. So it is a big problem.
Yeah, you need a couple more people.
I think the recommendation is going to come back with multiple recommendations. So, and I do have, like I said, some paperwork I can give you on it.
Thank you.
What are her office hours that she's supposed to be?
Nicole, at this point, she's usually in on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, but it really changes a lot, which you'll see a little bit in my report later, because different times of year we have different obligations. Sometimes we're giving presentations, sometimes we're going to different museums to collect items that have been donated, or having to be in assisting other offices and things. So it changes from here and there. But
You reminded me, I have a book for you, Dave Johnson.
Legislator O'Donnell.
So she works Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday?
She works 5 days a week, but we're not always, neither of us are always in the office because obviously we do a lot of public work. So and it changes, you know, throughout the year. In the winter time, we're in the office more. In the summertime, we're at events more. So it depends.
It's a full-time position.
Full-time
She works
position.
five
Yeah,
days
it's a
week.
full-time position. And as I said, it's, you know, most offices, a senior clerk might be answering phones and doing administrative work, but she's also doing things like assisting with public programming and answering research questions. So we get a lot of public inquiries, and sometimes that requires going to a cemetery to check stones, or going to a local library to find a document, or, you know, things like that. Last week, we had a donation offer, and so we went as a sort of a field trip to go and see the donation, make a determination. So sometimes we're out of the office doing work like that, field work.
Thank you.
Joe, we have another meeting coming up, so quick.
Yeah, real quick. So, your office is open 5 days a week though?
We haven't been open, like the door unlocked open in years. We don't have security. So we're just two women in a giant building, and we don't have a security guard. So we keep the door locked, and we just try to keep people making appointments to see us or see the collection.
So that's the best way to get in touch with your offices.
Oh, yeah, to make an appointment, for sure. We have the Genealogical Society volunteers that are there. They have some regular hours, but they're elderly, so they don't really feel comfortable leaving the door unlocked either. So we do have security issues. We have, just having low staffing, we don't feel comfortable having people wander through the building. So, and that, we had security when the court had moved and they were active upstairs. So we had court security, which was great. But once the courts left, the court security was pulled out of there.
Thank you.
Okay. Any further questions?
Just all these donations that you get, you decide where you store them, or you bring them all to this big building in here?
Well, I'd love to have you come and look. We have rooms full of boxes of things, and the basement is full as well. So and I have some pictures in the presentation that's coming up that show it. We're not in a good situation. Like, as far as, standard museum operations, there should be a lot more staff. There should be a lot better storage facilities. There should be climate control. I mean, we're not at a professional level, and that's why we really can't be open to the public. We can't just invite people in to look around when so many things are difficult to find, and there aren't really indexes for things either. So sometimes when a research question comes in, we've got to go look through dusty boxes in order to find that item, or moldy boxes is even worse sometimes. So we really have a lot of challenges depending on, what the mission of the office is, like whether or not we want to be open to the public, which would be fantastic, but it would take a lot to get there.
That's where she found the bell.
Say it again, Nancy.
That's where she found the bell for Newburgh.
We find lots of things.
Yeah.
Sometimes we do exploring days where we wear dirty clothes and we go into the basement and look around.
If you haven't been over there, I encourage everybody to give them a call, give Nicole a call and go over. And I've been there, I serve in the collections committee. And people literally, I mean, on my real estate side, people say, what do I do? Oh, we're gonna donate it to the county. So they're the recipient of boxes full of old books from the 1800s. What do you do with them? They don't have the staff. They have room, so things are piled in.
And I have some pictures I'll show you in a moment,
Yeah.
but there are times where we get a phone call and somebody says, I'm emptying my grandfather's belongings, everything's going in a dumpster, it has all the family papers from our, family that's been in Orange County for
Yeah.
250
Yeah.
years.
Yeah.
And sometimes one of us will have to jump in the car and go and pick up something. One time I had a call from somebody that had ballot boxes from county elections from the 1920s. And I just jumped in the car and went and got them, and I brought them back to the building, and they're there. I mean, that's the kind of like work that you never can predict it, day to day, what kind of a phone call. Some of you know Gary Moore, who has the Van Burenville School in Middletown, and he wants to donate the building. What do? We can't take more buildings when we're not really able to care for the ones we already have.
Harold Card.
His name is Gary Moore, and he owns the Van Burenville School, the one-room school.
Oh, the one-room school, yeah, it's down from Harold Card, yes.
Yeah, so it's that
All kinds
intersection.
of stuff, yeah, you know that, it is, yeah.
But so there's a building right there. Nicole and I looked at it, we toured it, and it has no plumbing or heating. So how it's not even a building we can take and turn into something. It would take it's really just a preservation project. But it's important to our local history, so what do you do when you
Yeah.
have, you know, that kind of a
It's a
situation?
great building, yeah.
So those are the kinds of situations that we're dealing with that we can never predict, you know, day to day, we're getting phone calls like that.
And again, if you haven't been over to see the historian or Nicole, I mean, take a look in there and you'll see they've got their hands full. So I look forward to that report and see how we can help you. Any further comments? Okay, all in favor? Anyone opposed? So carried. Great. Thank you very much. Motion adjourned. Legislator
Second.
Menuda, second by Legislator